The next Bitcoin move is starting to reveal itself. Bitcoin is breaking out from this inverse head and shoulders pattern right now, and we need to be deciphering, is this going to be a valid breakout towards the upside, or is this a massive trap? Are we going to be breaking towards the downside? We need to be talking about whether the low is in for Bitcoin or not, so make sure to be staying tuned, as I have a lot of different charts and I'll have a lot of different data points to be backing up the case, whether we're going to be moving towards the upside or the downside. We're going to be looking at all the relevant EMAs, all the relevant trends for Bitcoin, and also we're going to be looking at Ethereum. Ethereum is literally squeezing right now. The Bollinger Bands are squeezing in, indicating low volatility. It indicates that Ethereum has just been consolidating, like we can see by the price action. So we need to be talking about whether the break is going to be towards the upside or the downside. So make sure to be staying tuned till the end, and yeah, have a lot of charts for the longer term. So yeah, with that being said, let's not waste any more time. Let's get straight away into this banger. Bow. As we can see, Bitcoin is breaking out from this inverse head and shoulders pattern right now, and we are potentially going to be putting in a new higher high. So we can see that it's just been lower highs for Bitcoin. There hasn't been a real decisive higher high. It's just been lower, as you can see. So we need to be actually putting in a higher high to actually be breaking a market structure. And this is the first sign. We've seen that Bitcoin has been putting in a low and is potentially putting in a higher low here. And if this higher low can confirm by us actually putting in a higher high and a very decisive higher high, that will indicate that the trend is shifting for Bitcoin. So this is actually good to be seeing in the shorter time frame. This is on a 4 hour right now. So we need to be actually paying attention to this in the coming days. But we know that in the coming days, we have massive news. We have the core PPI numbers coming out on Wednesday, and we have the CPI numbers coming out on Thursday. So we need to be actually looking at this data to be determining whether we're going to be getting a rate cut or 50 basis point rate cut. So at the minute, we can see that the federal funds rate probabilities are 100% for a 25 basis point rate cut, but there's a almost 10% chance we're going to be getting a double rate cut, so a 50 basis point rate cut, and that would actually send markets flying. So we need to be looking at the numbers to be seeing, is it possible that the Fed are going to consider that they need to be cutting interest rates more aggressively, and that's going to come from inflation numbers actually coming down, indicating inflation is cooling instead of inflation coming in hot. So if the inflation numbers are higher, then this is going to be bad for markets. We're going to be seeing a dump. But if the inflation numbers are lower, then we're going to be seeing a massive good reaction from the markets. But for that medium time frame, Bitcoin is actually breaking out from this falling wedge pattern that we've been covering on the channel. So that's a good sign to be seeing. We've been breaking out and moving towards the upside. We had this chart over here where we had the falling wedge drawn out, and we came in towards the demand box perfectly as predicted, and now we're moving towards the upside after retesting that falling wedge. So it looks like we're breaking above this range level like we talked about, and we need to be seeing a closing candle at the end of the day above this range level. So that's going to be 112,500. If we can get a decisive breakout above this $112,500 level that we just broke above right now, we're going to be likely seeing Bitcoin trade to the top of the range, which is 124k, which is our previous all-time highs. So we're going to be seeing Bitcoin return to this range level if we can get the decisive breakout. So this is exactly what I'm going to be looking at for that daily close. But it's a good sign to be seeing Bitcoin actually following through and breaking out from this range level over here and breaking out from this falling wedge pattern. So in our previous video, we also talked about this massive double top pattern. We talked about this being a massive move for Bitcoin. We're going to be seeing massive moves towards the downside if we couldn't break above this level over here. So we talked about that, and we can see that Bitcoin is now invalidating this double top. So we can see that we're actually breaking above this massive neckline that we talked about, and we said that if we can break above the neckline of $112,500, then this bearish pattern for Bitcoin is going to be invalidated. And you can see that we're right now creeping just above the level. We're right now about to break above this $112,500 level on the daily time frame. So if we can get a candle close above the level, that's going to be indicated that this is a massive deviation, and we can potentially see Bitcoin actually start to distribute towards the upside. So we know this model, this accumulation model, then you get a manipulation or a deviation, and then if you reclaim the range lows, then you actually start to move towards the upside again. So we can see that the $112,500 level is a massive key inflection point, and if we can break above it with this pattern over here, then I think that it's going to be massively likely that Bitcoin is going to be trading back inside the range, and we're going to be going a lot higher. But furthermore, we can see that Bitcoin is actually potentially going to be putting in a massive move now in towards October and Q4. We actually talked about the September trap actually playing out. So we talked about the post-halving years and the returns for September actually being quite negative. So in 2017 and 2021, we both had negative returns. But we talked about the massive positive returns on the prior month in August for both of these post-halving years. So in 2025, we've already front-run that correction since we had a massive red August instead of the typical big green Augusts, and now in September it's likely that we actually move towards the upside now, and we follow different years. So we follow the 2024 and 2023 actual years where we had a negative return for August and a positive return for September, like you can see on this chart over here. So looking at the chart, we can already see that these charts indicate that you have a correction first, then a move towards the upside in September. We front run that, and it's likely that we can continue towards the upside now. Now lastly, for Bitcoin, we also have this chart over here where we have gold and Bitcoin plotted on the same chart, and you can see that we're repeating history from last summer where we actually had a massive consolidation, and that's where we had a move towards the upside. It was slightly down also, like we have in right now, where we're consolidating within this range and we're moving towards the downside just slowly, whilst gold actually moves towards the upside, as you can see over here. So that's a massive indication that, okay, this time round Bitcoin is potentially lagging gold just like before, and gold continues to soar towards the upside while Bitcoin consolidates. But as we can see later on, Bitcoin actually massively catches up to gold, so it's likely this time round we're going to be seeing a massive catch-up trade from Bitcoin again. So if you're enjoying the video and you want to be trading for yourself, make sure to click that first link down below for BitTunex. BitTunex is a non-KYC exchange that allows you to be trading from anywhere in the world. It's a global exchange, and they're offering the community a massive 20% on your deposit. So I would not be missing out on this massive bonus. You can see that you can get up to $400 if you deposit $2,000. So that's $400 in free money to be trading with using that first link down below. So I will not be fading this, as you can be getting massive positions in. You could be taking advantage of this potential move towards the upside now with a free $400 in deposit bonus. And you can see if you deposit maybe $1,000, you get $200 for free to be trading with. And that's the first link down below for BitTunex if you want to be trading Bitcoin and altcoins for yourself. Now looking at Ethereum, firstly we can see that we actually grabbed the downside liquidity, and now the majority resides above us. So the most likely direction for Ethereum before we even get into the analysis is likely bullish, and it's likely towards the upside, like we can see in this liquidation heat map. Previously the majority of liquidity was to the downside, and Ethereum grabbed that liquidity. Now the majority is to the upside, so it's very likely that Ethereum actually grabs that liquidity. So we're seeing the Bollinger Bands actually massively contracting over here, and it's likely that we're going to get in a move towards either side. But like we covered, the majority of liquidity actually rests above, so it is likely that Ethereum actually moves towards the upside now rather than the downside. And essentially the Bollinger Bands are direction neutral. They don't tell you where the direction is going to be going. It just tells you that volatility is imminent. There's going to be a move very, very soon. So we need to be determining where that's going to be. But at the minute, we're breaking out from this downward sloping trend line. So it's actually likely, if Ethereum can actually break above this high over here, that's going to be putting in a higher high, and we're going to be seeing a massive move towards the upside. So of course we need to be waiting for confirmation above this $4,500 mark. If you can break above 4,500 for Ethereum, I think it's likely you're going to be moving towards the upside, but we need to be breaking above 4,500 first. If you can break above that level, you're going to be putting in a higher high, and it's likely Ethereum moves towards the upside following this massive bull flag pattern. But in that short term, we can see that this $4,300 level that's been previous inflection points for us is actually acting as resistance right now. So we need to actually be breaking above this level first and reclaiming it to actually potentially break above that $4,500 mark. So if we can break above 4,300, I think this is going to be the first stepping stone towards Ethereum actually putting in a higher high, and then that's where we can actually start to see if Ethereum can move towards its $5,000 level and beyond. Now I do want to be mentioning, if we actually consolidate in and around this $4,300 level without putting in a higher high, then I think that this is going to be determined by the CPI numbers and the PPI numbers. So if we actually consolidate for the rest of today and tomorrow, then it's likely that if we get good news, we're going to be making a higher high. And if we don't get good news, we can look at this $4,100 mark as a next point for Ethereum to actually reach before we actually get a valid bounce, since there's a little bit of liquidity below us. But again, the majority is above us, so it's likely we go higher. But just in the case that we get bad news, then I think 4,100 is the next point for Ethereum to be actually bouncing from. Now for that longer term, Ethereum is likely to move towards the upside now. Just like last cycle, as you can see, we'll repeat in history. And of course, the MACDs actually flip bullish for the second month in a row. So that's the second green histogram bar over there with the EMAs angled up and crossed. So that's actually looking quite good on a monthly time frame. And this just indicates that the strength on Ethereum is actually massively there. There's still going to be moves towards the upside, and the pump is really only getting started since Ethereum has a massive bull target. So of course, if we can continue to see massive institutions and large investors accumulating, then we're going to be seeing Ethereum move towards the upside. As for your altcoins versus Ethereum, we can see that they're on massive support right now and they're likely to bounce, and we're already seeing the altcoins actually start to make their move now. So we can see XRP breaking out, and we can see the Dogecoins actually breaking out right now. So as for your altcoins versus Ethereum, they're on massive support, and we're seeing that some of the altcoins are already breaking out and showing massive strength already. So it's likely that we can potentially see a move from your altcoins now. So I will not be fading this in the longer time frames. I think that, you are seeing breakouts already, and there's opportunities to be actually accumulating more altcoins before they actually go berserk. So at the minute, I think this is a massive opportunity that you shouldn't be fading, since they're on support and they're ready to bounce right now. So yeah, that'll be it for me. Make sure to follow me on X to be staying up to date with all my relevant updates, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a blessed rest of your day. Peace, guys. See ya. Bye bye.